There are encounters in life so profound that you cannot believe they're just coincidence. That first look, familiar yet fierce, feels as though your soul has recognized theirs from somewhere beyond time. When an empath meets a narcissist, it is not just a relationship. It is a collision between light and shadow, between a heart that feels deeply and an ego terrified of feeling anything at all. At first, everything resembles a destined love song. The empath believes they've just met a soulmate, someone sent to heal and evolve together. Meanwhile, the narcissist believes they've found the perfect mirror, a place where their image is adored, reflected, exalted as the center of the universe. Both are right, but for completely opposite reasons. Behind the attraction, passion, and chaos lies a soul contract, an agreement made long before the two stepped into this lifetime. In that contract, the empath's soul agreed to carry the light, while the narcissist's soul carried the shadow, so they could reflect, awaken, and force each other to confront their deepest inner truth. Yet, what few understand is this: when the narcissist breaks that contract through betrayal, silence, or denial, it's not just love that collapses. A part of your soul tears open with it. The universe begins to rearrange. Reality shifts, and you, the one left behind, are thrown into a painful yet sacred journey. The journey Carl Jung called individuation, the rebirth of the soul through darkness. Thus, the real question is not why did they leave, but who is the universe asking you to become after they leave? From the very first moment, the soul of the empath and the soul of the narcissist intersect in an invisible space, where time seems to stop and every boundary between destiny and free will becomes blurred. The feeling is unlike an ordinary meeting. It's as if two ancient streams of energy have reunited after lifetimes of wandering. And this insight, every touch, every gaze, every word, carries the weight of an old promise, a contract signed in the realm of the soul before either stepped into the physical world. The empath feels as though they've finally come home. The narcissist believes they've found a place where they can exist forever, in the other's light. But beneath the mystical surface, a subtle paradox begins to form. When light and shadow meet, they do not merge. The shadow attempts to possess the light to avoid seeing itself. On an energetic level, this is the moment the frequencies begin to drift apart. The empath's heart expands, receives, gives, while the narcissist's soul contracts, absorbs, takes. The connection isn't just emotional or physical, it is energetic. A blending where soul boundaries fade and the narcissist begins to drink the empath's light like a starving being. In the early days, everything feels orchestrated by the divine. Signs align perfectly, every moment feels enchanted. The empath believes this is the one sent to them, that this love is the doorway to awakening. But in truth, it is the first false awakening, where the soul is stirred not by love, but by the illusion of love. Because the narcissist does not truly see your soul, they only see their own reflection shining back from your light, a light they crave but cannot generate within themselves. Then, as if repeating an ancient ritual, the energy reverses. When the light is no longer enough to fill their inner void, the shadow rises. Idealization becomes control. Admiration turns into jealousy. Closeness becomes fear. The narcissist cannot endure a light that bright, because it exposes a darkness they've spent a lifetime hiding. So they begin to withdraw, slowly, coldly, emotionlessly. There is no explosion, no clear goodbye, only an energetic cord, silently stretched until it snaps. The moment the contract breaks does not happen outwardly, it happens inside. It is a subtle shift in the energetic field, the disconnection of two souls that once resonated deeply. For the empath, you feel it like the shattering of glass in your chest, soundless yet echoing endlessly. There are no words, but a violent pull in your energy field leaves you dizzy, as if part of your soul has been ripped out. This is the moment the universe witnesses betrayal of the light. When a soul refuses the awakening it was destined for. When the narcissist walks away, they believe the story has ended. But for the empath, it is the beginning of a spiritual earthquake. Ordinary relationships touch the heart. Soul contracts take root in the energetic body. When that root is torn out, your entire field begins to reconfigure itself. And the universe, in its infinite intelligence, never allows a sacred rupture without meaning. Every tremor, every ache is a door opening. The first shift is the distortion of spiritual time. You feel your life shift out of its normal flow. Time loses linearity, memories and premonitions mix, dreams intensify, full of symbols, oceans, broken mirrors, empty rooms, light swallowed by black spirals. These are not random dreams. They are signals from the collective unconscious Jung described, announcing that your soul is restructuring. You may feel as if you're living in two parallel realities, the physical world where they are gone, and the soul world where the connection is still unraveling. Then comes emotional, energetic chaos. Your emotions no longer belong to a single moment. They fluctuate between love, rage, guilt, and numbness. Sometimes the sadness you feel isn't even yours, because fragments of their soul still cling to your energetic field, unwilling to let go of a bond they consciously rejected. On a deeper level, you are sensing their soul resisting the lesson the universe is forcing them to face. They can run from you, but they cannot run from themselves. And you, once their mirror, become the silent witness to their internal collapse. During this phase, the universe pauses everything. Plans dissolve, relationships feel off, opportunities arrive at the wrong time. This is not punishment, it is protection. Your soul is being rewired, like a house dismantled before being rebuilt. If you feel lost, it is because the old map no longer applies. You are being invited into a new level of consciousness, where everything must be felt by the soul, not the mind. Jung once said that when a person reaches the limit of what the conscious mind can endure, the unconscious steps in to finish the work. And that is exactly what is happening within you. The unconscious does not destroy, it transforms. Every pain, when observed with presence, reveals its own message. In those long nights when you feel like you're falling apart, your soul is actually shedding an old skin, the skin of someone who lived to please, who mistook compassion for self-sacrifice. The breaking of the soul contract also opens a phenomenon of reverse synchronicity, signs that seem to come from the universe, but are really the remnants of your old energetic alignment. You see familiar numbers, old symbols, or hear music associated with them. Not because the universe wants you to return, but because the contract's energy is dissolving and sending out its final goodbye signals. Do not interpret them romantically. Understand them consciously. The universe is clearing space for the next chapter of your soul. Throughout this process, your soul field will contract to conserve energy and then slowly expand again. You may feel isolated, disconnected from everyone, unable to find meaning in things you once loved. This is the Nigredo stage, spoken of by alchemists and Jung, the black phase of the soul, where everything old is burned away to prepare for rebirth. There is no shortcut, no miracle, only the courage to sit quietly in the dark and trust that the light is forming from within. And then one day you will realize something astonishing. They didn't truly break the contract. They simply completed their role. Because their soul, even while their conscious mind denied it, was still a tool the universe used to teach you about strength, sovereignty, and loving without losing yourself. When you realize this, your energy shifts. Instead of asking, "Why did I do this?" you begin to ask, "What part of me is this lesson freeing?" And in that moment, the contract truly completes, not through their return, but through your rebirth. Once your soul fully accepts the rupture, another phenomenon appears. Your energy field and the universe begin to synchronize again. New people arrive, new opportunities emerge, and coincidences that carry healing begin to show up. No longer are these synchronicities shaped by their shadow, but by your new path. This is when you understand that their departure did not take love away, it simply returned love to where it belongs, inside you. For when the old contract dissolves, it is not love that disappears, It is the illusion of love that fades. And in the ashes of that illusion, your soul begins to glow. This time, not to illuminate someone else, but to light your own path. In the quiet nights, the empath still senses a presence, a familiar soul passing through, a nameless emotion, a cold current running across the chest. They do not call, yet you hear them. They do not touch, yet you feel them. This connection does not exist in the mind, but in the energetic field, where the two souls once resonated at the highest frequency. Even if their conscious mind denies it, the deepest part of their soul still sends out signals, like a faint cry from the shadows. And because empaths are born with subtle perception, they hear the unspoken. They feel the fears that were never voiced. This is the most confusing stage, because it makes the empath believe the universe is calling them back. In reality, it is not a sign to reunite, but an energy stream trying to find release. When a soul breaks a contract, part of their energy remains stuck in you, because only you, with your higher frequency of awareness, can complete the release. This is why, after they leave, you still dream about them, still feel when they're sad, regretful, or trying to forget you, because their soul does not truly forget, only their ego pretends to. Carl Jung once wrote, "What is repressed in the unconscious returns as fate." And indeed, the shadow they deny begins to surface in your reality. You feel their energy appear in dreams, in songs, and the passing face of a stranger, not to torment you, but to help you witness their inner disintegration. By denying the connection, they are also denying a part of their own soul. And each time they do, you feel a subtle ache, because your two souls are still in the same classroom of lessons. This phenomenon is called spectral perception, perception of soul residue. It is a sign that the old energy has not been fully purified. You are not crazy, not superstitious, and you are not calling them back. You are simply sensing the remnants of a contract that hasn't completed yet. When they resist awakening, the residual energy ricochets in the space between you, and you are the first to detect the vibrations. It feels like hearing an old song playing faintly from far away, familiar, haunting, and tightening the heart. Without understanding this phenomenon, the empath easily falls into the karmic loop, believing they must heal them or bring them back to the light. But that is precisely what prolongs the contract indefinitely. The universe does not want you to save them. The universe wants you to release them. Only when both souls are freed from the old cord can the lesson truly be completed. On the deeper spiritual plane, this process unfolds like a ritual of energetic purification. Every time you remember, ache, or cry, you are releasing stagnant energy. Every dream in which you see them is not a sign of reunion, but the final discharge of energy between two souls that once made a covenant. Sometimes their soul, even while their ego is running away, will still visit you in dreams as a form of farewell. You may see them standing in a dim light, silently looking at you, not to pull you back, but to acknowledge that their role has been completed. This is the stage where the empath must learn to stand still amid waves of energy. No running, no calling, no hoping, no fearing, only witnessing. When you observe without reacting, you withdraw the final supply of energy that keeps the cord alive. And that is when it dissolves on its own. Because an energetic cord cannot be cut by hatred, it can only dissolve through awareness. One day, you will notice something miraculous. You can no longer feel them, not because they have vanished, but because your energy has risen beyond the frequency where they exist. At that moment, the shadow of the one who left is no longer a haunting. It becomes a symbol, a testament to the strength of a soul that knows how to release, how to love without possessing, how to walk away while still holding compassion. And in that moment, the final soul contract melts away. Not through promises or endings, but through the complete liberation of both souls. As the energetic cord gradually dissolves, as you begin to feel lighter and more serene, on the other side, in the narcissist's world, a completely opposite process is unfolding, where you are being freed. They begin to fall into the very pit they once dug for others. Because when a soul contract is broken, You are not the only one who suffers. The one who breaks it is the one who bears the deepest consequences. Carl Jung once said, "No one escapes the darkness of their own psyche. It merely waits for the moment to return and swallow us." And that is exactly what happens to the narcissist after they abandon the empath. They believe they've escaped, that they've won, that their silence, betrayal, or devaluation is a display of power. But in the realm of energy, the universe does not operate through words, it operates through frequency. When they choose to betray genuine love, they sever the only lifeline connecting them to a vital source of psychic energy, the reflection of light. At first they appear calm, even triumphant. You may see them laugh, love someone new, flaunt their happiness as if the past never existed. But this is merely the ego's escape phase. They must prove to the world that they are not weak, not wrong, not wounded. In spiritual psychology, this is called a phase of artificial energetic compensation, where the soul refuses to acknowledge the wound and instead projects its emptiness outward as performance. But no soul can deceive the universe. Balance is always restored, and when the external noise dies down, they begin to face the real consequences. The first consequence is the collapse of the reflective ego. When you, the empath, withdraw your energy, they do not just lose a person. They lose the only mirror that made them feel real. For the narcissist's entire identity is built from the reflection of others. When no one shines light on them anymore, their ego begins to crack. First comes restlessness, then emptiness, and finally a profound fear. They will try to replace you quickly, not out of love, but out of desperation for a new supply, to avoid seeing the void within. But no one can reflect them the way you once did. And so, every new supply feels bland, artificial, insufficient to soothe the escalating inner panic. Jung called this phenomenon psychic disintegration, when the self-possession collapses due to the loss of an external anchor. They begin losing control. Insomnia, agitation, irritability, distrust, and a gradual descent into a spiral of silent self-punishment. Example mentioned. Their ego will never admit the pain, but the soul remembers. In moments of silence, intoxication, or late nights, a deep part of them begins to hear the echo of the old contract, the echo of your soul, not calling them back, but reminding them that they rejected the redemption the universe offered. And then comes the stage of obsession. When they see that you have not fallen apart, that you are still standing, even shining brighter, it strikes their deepest wound, the fear of being replaced. For a narcissist, self-worth does not come from love, but from control. When you become calm, still, unreactive, you strip away all the fuel that feeds their ego. They will attempt to return not out of remorse, but to reclaim power. They may come back with apologies, longing, or vague symbolic gestures. But in truth, it is only the shadow testing whether your light still flickers. If you have truly awakened, you will see it clearly. Every attempt they make to return is a test from the universe, to see whether you have mastered the lesson. If you remain peaceful, their energy can no longer penetrate you. And when that happens, they are forced to face themselves. With no one left to blame, no one left to mirror them, no one left to feed them, they fall into the void they fear most, the emptiness of an unawakened soul. At the deepest level, this is karmic mirroring, the spiritual law Jung described. Every soul will be forced to see itself through the reactions of others. When you stop reacting, the mirror disappears, and the shadow must return to its source. The narcissist is no longer confronting you, but confronting their own ego, the realm where shame, fear, and loneliness reside. Everything they once did to you, manipulation, silence, betrayal, denial, now returns from within. With no one left to manipulate, their mind begins manipulating itself. They invent scenarios, replay old conversations, twist memories to convince themselves they were right. But the soul cannot be fooled forever. Gradually, truth seeps into the cracks of their consciousness, and they begin to hear the voice they once silenced, the voice of conscience. This is the narcissist's silent collapse. No one sees it, no one knows it, but inside, their world is falling apart. Every illusion of power, every mask, every role they created to avoid feeling, all of it begins to crumble. And the cruelest part is they can neither return nor move forward. Because returning means admitting fault, and moving forward means changing. Both are nightmares to their ego. They begin to feel something they themselves cannot name, the gradual disintegration of the soul. Everything that once made them feel alive now becomes mere performance. They consume emotions, touch other people, say beautiful words, yet no longer feel a real heartbeat behind any of it. Their energy wavers because narcissists do not know how to generate light from within. They survive only by absorbing energy from others. When you, their final source of genuine reflection, disappear, they become like a being deprived of oxygen. At this stage, punishment does not come from the outside, but from within. They begin to hear small voices, memories they once buried, the look in your eyes when you were disappointed, the words you spoke before you walked away, the feeling of being loved that they tried so hard to deny. Each memory is like a blade cutting through the layers of their mask. At first they grow angry, then they deny it. But gradually your silence becomes the loudest echo inside their mind, and try to escape into a new world, seeking other sources of supply, rushing into quick romances, chasing fleeting pleasures. But nothing is deep enough to fill the void your soul once occupied, because deep down they know you were the only one who truly saw them, not their image, but the part of themselves they kept hidden. That terrified them, but it also addicted them. And when they lose that gaze, they feel invisible to the entire world. Then comes the moment when energy reverses. Everything they once saw, deceit, manipulation, contempt, begins to mirror back in their reality. Colleagues grow suspicious, friends distance themselves, a new partner turns their back, secrets get exposed. This is energetic karmic mirroring, not punishment from the universe, but the natural consequence of distorted energy. Everything they once controlled through artificial power stops working. And the most terrifying part, no one believes them anymore. When there is no audience left, the performance collapses. They look around and realize that everyone was merely a distorted mirror of themselves. And now all those mirrors have shattered. In a rare moment of clarity, they see again the light of the one they betrayed. But this time, that light is no longer outside. It shines from within memory, from a place they can no longer reach. They realize that what they lost was not just a person, but their only chance at redemption. Some narcissists continue denying until the very end, repeating the cycle of manipulation and playing the victim in new stories. But a very small number, only a few, when pushed to the extreme edge of loneliness, begin to hear the call of their own soul. It is the moment when the mask can no longer hide them, when shame melts into real tears, when the arrogant ego is forced to kneel before the emptiness it created. However, not all reach that point. Most narcissists choose to keep running because facing their soul is what they fear most. They do not understand that with just one moment of genuine humility, 1 second of acknowledging the love that once existed, they could be freed, but they cannot, because the soul contract has been broken. And the lesson is no longer yours, it becomes a battle between them and their own shadow. While they spiral through a labyrinth of guilt, you walk through the doorway of spiritual freedom. Not because you won, but because you completed the contract. Your lesson is to forgive without returning, to love without clinging, and to understand that sometimes the greatest act of salvation is allowing them to face the consequences of their own actions. In the end, every soul contract leads to the same destination, awakening. Some souls awaken through light, and some can only awaken through suffering. When the narcissist breaks the contract, they are not truly betraying you, they are rejecting the light the universe sends to them through you. And from that moment, your paths diverge, each moving into a completely different trajectory. You rise, therefore. You don't need revenge, you don't need to prove anything, and you don't need to wait for their awakening. Because your soul has completed its part, you loved sincerely, you gave truthfully, and you remained compassionate, even when bitterness would have been justified. This is what makes you untouchable. The love you offered is not lost, It simply changes form, returning to you as strength, wisdom, and peace. On a deeper level, the universe uses that very rupture to rebirth you. Every tear becomes a guiding light. Every wound that once broke you becomes a sacred mark of someone who walked through darkness without losing their light. Jung called this individuation the union of ego and soul, the merging of the human self with the divine essence within. As for the narcissist, no matter how far they run, they will eventually face themselves, because no soul escapes the law of reflection. One day, when they stand before the mirror and no longer recognize who they are, they will remember your gaze, the gaze that never judged, only reflected truth. And perhaps in that moment, the old contract will finally close completely, and you, the one who survived everything, will understand that love is not a bond of bodies or emotions, but the soul's journey back to itself. You did not lose anyone, you simply found your most authentic self, the person the universe always intended you to become. And as you move forward with a heart awakened, all old contracts dissolve like morning mist, leaving only the free light of a soul that has learned the sacred art of loving, releasing, and becoming the very light it once searched for.